3 years ago, Dubai's most exclusive waterfront villas were impossible to enter without reservations and private security clearances. Every evening, convoys of Rolls-Royces glided past glowing towers while celebrities, crypto billionaires, and royal investors gathered behind mirrored glass. Dubai had become the ultimate symbol of unstoppable wealth, a city where money moved faster than logic. The future seemed permanently under construction, and no one questioned whether it would last. But in 2026, something strange has started, happening behind the polished gates of that dream. The wealthiest families in Dubai are quietly disappearing, not publicly, not dramatically. There are no official announcements, no emotional farewell speeches, and no headlines admitting that confidence has begun to crack. Instead, the departures are happening in silence. Luxury mansions in Emirates Hills are being sold through private channels before they ever appear on the market. Corporate executives are quietly transferring assets to Singapore, London, and Riyadh. International schools that once had waiting lists are suddenly seeing wealthy families withdraw their children in the middle of the academic year. At Dubai International Airport, first-class lounges remain crowded, but the conversations sound different now. People are no longer discussing expansion, they are discussing exit strategies. And perhaps the most unsettling part is that ordinary tourists still cannot see it. The fountains still dance beneath Burj Khalifa, and the beach clubs still overflow with music and champagne. Influencers continue filming perfect sunsets beside rented Lamborghinis. On social media, Dubai continues to look completely invincible. But beneath the neon reflections and billion-dollar skylines, a quiet shift is unfolding. The families with the deepest investments in Dubai are beginning to reduce their exposure to it. History has shown that when insiders start leaving before outsiders notice, something deeper is changing underneath the surface. The people who understand a city best are always the first to sense when its foundation begins to shift. For years, Dubai sold the world a powerful idea. It promised safety in an unstable region, luxury without limits, and economic growth without interruption. Investors believed that no matter what happened globally, Dubai would always adapt faster than everyone else. During recessions, wars, and financial shocks, the city marketed itself as the safe bridge between East and West. That image attracted enormous amounts of foreign wealth, but cities built on confidence face a dangerous problem. The moment confidence weakens, the entire machine begins to shake. Over the last year, subtle warning signs have started appearing everywhere. Ultra-luxury property transactions are slowing in some districts despite aggressive marketing campaigns. Private wealth advisors report growing interest from Gulf elites looking for secondary citizenships and overseas property protections. Recruitment firms that once struggled to satisfy demand are now quietly hearing a different question from clients. How quickly can relocation packages be arranged if conditions become unstable? That question, once unthinkable in Dubai, is now being asked behind closed doors across the city. Even the atmosphere inside the financial sector feels different. Bankers who once spoke with certainty about endless growth now speak cautiously about risk exposure. Developers continue unveiling futuristic megaprojects, but behind closed doors, some investors are questioning whether demand can realistically support the scale of expansion being promised. The confidence that once filled every boardroom has quietly thinned. Dubai's economy has always depended on momentum. Construction creates headlines, headlines attract investors, investors fuel more construction, and the cycle repeats. But momentum is a fragile currency. Once people begin doubting the future, the illusion of unstoppable growth can collapse surprisingly fast. The contrast across the city is becoming impossible to ignore. During the day, tourists crowd luxury, malls buying designer goods beneath artificial waterfalls and indoor ski slopes. At night, some of the city's wealthiest residents are quietly meeting lawyers, financial consultants, and relocation specialists. One world is still consuming the Dubai dream. The other is preparing for the possibility that it may not last forever. Part of the anxiety comes from the changing global economy itself. The era of easy money that fueled luxury real estate and speculative investment is fading. Wealthy families are becoming more defensive, more cautious, and more focused on stability, instead of spectacle. The priorities that once made Dubai irresistible are slowly being replaced by something quieter and more permanent. Cities competing with Dubai are also evolving rapidly. Saudi Arabia is pouring hundreds of billions into attracting global business elites. Singapore continues strengthening its reputation as one of the safest financial hubs in the world. Even European cities once considered too expensive or over-regulated are becoming attractive again for investors seeking long-term security over short-term glamour. Dubai now faces a difficult question it has never fully confronted before. What happens when the world's wealthy no longer prioritize speed, luxury, and tax advantages above everything else? What happens when stability, permanence, and geopolitical safety begin to matter more than ambition? That is the question Dubai has no easy answer for, because beneath Dubai's glittering image lies a reality few people discuss openly. Most of the city's population is temporary, connected to visas, contracts, or economic opportunity rather than deep roots. In good times, that creates extraordinary flexibility and explosive growth. In uncertain times, it creates vulnerability. People who arrive quickly can also leave quickly. And some already are. In recent months, moving companies handling international shipments from luxury districts have reported unusual increases in outbound transfers. Wealth managers are advising elite clients to diversify not just their portfolios, but their physical locations. Some business owners are quietly opening parallel headquarters abroad in case conditions intensify faster than expected. None of this means Dubai is collapsing tomorrow. The city still possesses extraordinary infrastructure, global branding power, and enormous financial resources. But fear rarely begins with catastrophe. It begins with whispers among the people closest to the system. And right now, those whispers are growing louder inside the most expensive neighborhoods in Dubai. The city that once convinced the world it could escape every crisis is suddenly confronting a dangerous possibility. Maybe no modern empire, no matter how rich or technologically advanced, can outrun uncertainty forever. Maybe the glittering skyline was never the true foundation of Dubai's power. Maybe belief itself was. Entirely. The deeper problem for Dubai is not simply that wealthy families are leaving, it is the reason they are leaving. Most global cities survive temporary downturns because their foundations are built on something stronger than excitement. London survived wars because it possessed institutions that had evolved for centuries. New York survived financial crashes because millions of people still believed their futures were tied to the city itself. But Dubai was built differently. It was engineered at extraordinary speed, fueled by global capital, foreign labour, and the promise that tomorrow would always be bigger than today. That formula created one of the most spectacular urban success stories in modern history. Yet it also created a city permanently dependent on confidence, and confidence can disappear far faster than skyscrapers can rise. Look closely at the luxury districts that once symbolized unlimited prosperity. In Palm Jumeirah, lights still glow across the artificial islands every evening, but many properties are increasingly occupied only seasonally. Some villas remain fully staffed, despite sitting empty for months at a time, because wealthy owners no longer view Dubai as a permanent base. They view it as a flexible asset, useful while conditions remain favourable. The emotional attachment that sustains truly resilient cities has always been weaker here. When fear enters the equation, pragmatism replaces loyalty almost instantly. That shift is beginning to reshape the city in subtle but powerful ways. Luxury retailers that expanded aggressively during the boom years are adjusting forecasts. Developers continue advertising record-breaking projects, yet incentives behind closed doors are becoming more generous. Some high-end restaurants that once required reservations weeks in advance are suddenly easier to enter on short notice. None of these changes alone signal disaster, but together they reveal a dangerous truth. Dubai's economic engine depends heavily on perception, and perceptions are becoming less certain. The irony is difficult to ignore. Dubai spent decades selling itself as the capital of the future, a place where technology, ambition, and wealth could overcome every limitation geography once imposed. Giant indoor ski resorts appeared in the desert. Artificial islands reshaped the coastline. Towers rose faster than entire neighborhoods could adapt around them. To the world, Dubai became proof that human ambition had no ceiling. But every empire, built on speed, eventually confronts the same challenge. Rapid growth creates enormous visibility, yet it can also conceal structural fragility underneath the spectacle. At the same time, a generational shift is changing what wealthy people actually want from global cities. The old model of prestige focused on extravagance, visible wealth, and endless consumption. The new generation of elites increasingly values privacy, sustainability, security, and cultural depth. Cities that feel authentic are becoming more attractive than cities designed purely for spectacle. Dubai still excels at impressing visitors, but impressing people is no longer enough. Increasingly, the world's wealthy want places where they can imagine building long-term stability for their children, not simply displaying success for a season. That psychological change may be more dangerous to Dubai than any temporary economic slowdown. Because once a city loses its emotional magnetism among the elite, rebuilding that perception becomes extremely difficult. Wealth moves toward optimism. It flows where people believe the future feels secure and meaningful. During the rise of Dubai, optimism was almost unlimited. Investors believed the city could reinvent itself endlessly. But now another feeling has entered the conversation. Fatigue. Some wealthy residents privately admit the city feels increasingly transactional, a place optimized for business and luxury, but lacking the deeper social cohesion that gives people reasons to stay during difficult times. Meanwhile, ordinary workers face a completely different reality. While billionaires diversify assets across continents, many middle-class expatriates are struggling with rising living costs, expensive rents, and growing uncertainty about long-term residency. The contrast has become stark. Influencers continue posting images of champagne brunches and rooftop infinity pools, while many residents calculate whether they can afford another year in the city. Yet Dubai's leaders understand these risks better than most outsiders realize. That is why the government continues investing aggressively in technology, tourism, infrastructure, and global branding. The city knows it cannot afford to appear uncertain. Momentum itself has become part of the product being sold to the world. Every new megaproject announcement, every luxury resort unveiling, every futuristic transportation concept serves a deeper purpose. They are psychological signals designed to reassure investors that Dubai's story remains unstoppable. But history shows that confidence campaigns work only as long as enough people still believe them. The real question now is not whether Dubai will vanish. Cities this wealthy rarely disappear completely. The real question is whether Dubai is approaching the end of one era and the beginning of another. Perhaps the age of explosive, limitless expansion is fading into something slower, more cautious, and more realistic. Perhaps the families quietly leaving today are not predicting total collapse, but simply recognizing that the rules which created Dubai's miracle are changing. If that is true, then what we are witnessing is bigger than one city. It is a warning about the fragile nature of modern prosperity itself. Around the world, many economies have been built on debt, speculation, branding, and the assumption that growth can continue forever. Dubai simply became the brightest symbol of that philosophy. And symbols matter because they reflect collective belief. Once belief weakens, even the tallest skylines can begin to feel strangely temporary. For now, the music still plays across Dubai's rooftop lounges. Supercars still race along Sheikh Zayed Road beneath glowing towers that seem to touch the future itself. But somewhere behind the tinted windows of private offices and waterfront mansions, important decisions are being made. Wealthy families are preparing for possibilities they never discussed before. And when the people closest to a system begin planning escape routes, the world eventually notices. Whether Dubai reinvents itself again or slowly transforms into something far less dominant, may depend on one thing above all else. Can the city convince people to believe in the dream once more? Once again.